Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another makeup tutorial, and I know I've been on a roll with makeup tutorials, but it's all good because it's using the Urban Decay Electric Palette again. I was just gonna leave it at 2 tutorials, but then I saw on Instagram that Emily Noel here on YouTube is doing an electric challenge. So basically what this is you create a look using the Urban Decay Electric Palette every single day for a week. I believe the rules are that you have to incorporate at least 1 or 2 shades from the palette, and this is not a problem for me at all because I am freaking crazy about this palette. I love every single shade in here. So today's look, as you can see, is a little bit of a smoky eye. It's got a bright pop of color. I only used these 2 shades from the palette, which is Thrash and Fringe here on the corners. I did use some neutral shades to blend everything out from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, but I will leave links to everything I use in this video down below, as well as tools and all that good stuff. So if you want to know how I created this look, then keep on watching. As always, we'll start off with eye primer. I'm using the Lorac Behind the Scenes. This has been my favorite primer for a while now, and I'm just spreading it all over the lid and up toward the crease. To really make those pigments pop and stand out, I'm using the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk. And the reason why I use eye primer underneath is because it really helps in keeping everything in place. The jumbo pencils can tend to crease after a little bit, so it's always a good idea to use eye primer underneath. And I'm just spreading it all over the lid and up toward the crease. First color up, we're using Salted Caramel from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. I'm going to slowly build up the color with the Sigma Blending 825 brush into the crease and outer corner of the eye. For this look, I opted to use tape because this could get quite messy. Just make sure to take off some of the glue on the back of your hand. Now we're going into the color Thrash, and we're going to pack this all over the lid with light patting motions. I'm using the brush that comes with the palette. It's very effective with these pigments, and this is the color that you need to build up slowly to achieve its full intensity. Now we're going into the color Fringe, and using the other side of the dual-ended brush that comes with the palette, we're going to place this into the inner corners of the eyes. This is a very bright and kind of dark shade, so you want to be careful when applying this. And we don't want any harsh lines in between the green, so I'm going back to the other side of the brush with that little green that was left over, and I'm blending the 2 shades together. We also want this color in the outer corners. I'm using a large crease brush from Eco Tools and slowly building up the shade concentrated in the outer V. Make sure to not bring it too far in toward the crease. Now we're using Semi Sweet from the Chocolate Bar palette. This is a darker shade of brown, and I'm just using a blending brush to blend it into the outer V and in toward the crease. You want to connect the inner and outer corner with this shade, so you slowly want to build it up. I'm going back and forth with my crease brush and blending brush to make sure that everything is even and smoked out. After blending everything together, you want to make sure you go back to that Fringe shade and brighten up the outer V and inner corner as well. Now that we've built up that smokiness, we're going back to the transition shade. I use Salted Caramel, and with a blending brush, you want to make sure that there are no harsh lines or edges. Blending really is key with this look, so you're going to have to go back and forth a lot just to make sure that everything is nice and even. Now we're going back to the color Thrash, and we're just going to touch up on the shade. I know a little bit could have been wiped off with the blending. You want to make sure it's nice and bright in the center of your lids. I'm using White Chocolate from the Chocolate Bar palette to highlight my brow bone. This is a shade that you can also use to correct any mistakes if you went a little bit too high with your crease shade. Moving on to eyeliner, I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Gel Liner in Blackest Black. And here's where you really see the magic of using the tape. I'm creating a wing. It's fairly easy to do when you have the tape as a guideline. I went a little bit thicker in the outer corner and thinner as I moved toward the inner corners of the eyes. Now it's time to remove the tape and make sure that everything is nice and neat. Next up, I'm using the MARC Please Hold Eye Primer in light to medium. This is like an eye brightener, so it really helps to prep for concealer. Now I'm using the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is my favorite concealer. It really does conceal absolutely everything. And yes, it does look like I have a whole bunch of concealer, but that really is just one pump. My favorite way to blend it out is with a beauty blender. It really gets into the nooks and crannies and makes sure that everything is crease free. This concealer can be quite thick. I like to go in with my Sigma Precision Flat Angled brush to clean up the edges and make sure that there's no product buildup. To set that concealer, I'm using the Super Matte Loose Powder by Makeup Forever and applying it with my Sigma Tapered Kabuki brush. This brush reminds me a lot of the Beauty Blender because it's similar in shape and it gets into the contours of your face really easily. Going into Milk Chocolate from the chocolate bar, I'm just going to swipe this all over the lower lash line with a small pencil brush. Back to Fringe from the Electric palette, we're going to place this in the outer corners of the lower lash line and also the inner corners. You want to connect the top and bottom shade as cleanly as possible with a precision brush. Surprise, surprise, we're going back to the color Thrash, and this is going to go right in the center of that lower lash line. You want to blend the inner and outer corner as well to create a gradient effect. Using Makeup Forever Aqua Eyes in Matte Black, we're going to tight line our eyes to make sure that there's no skin peeking through the lashes. This is a great pencil for that because it is waterproof. For mascara, I'm using my current favorite, and it's the Maybelline Plump Top Colossal Volume Express. I think the color is Glam Black, which should be the equivalent to Blackest Black. I like to use 2 coats, and make sure you coat those bottom lashes as well. For this look, I decided to go with fake lashes. I'm using the Katy Perry Oh Honey lashes. I really like these. They're very dramatic and voluminous. If I'm gonna go through the trouble of putting on lashes, they better be dramatic. I'm using tweezers to place these as close to the lash line as I can and tapping them on with the other side. I am not a pro at false lashes, but you guys get the idea. I find that it helps blinking into the lashes to make sure that they're well blended with the tweezers. And then I'm going back to my gel liner to cover up any traces of glue on my lash line. To bronze up the face, I'm using the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer in Medium Deep. This is a sample size that I've had forever. It's lasted for a very long time and I've yet to hit pan. I'm using a Bare Minerals Flawless Face brush to slightly contour around the face and also all over bronze. For blush, I decided to go with MAC Melba. This is a beautiful natural peachy blush. We don't want anything too bright with this look because the focus is the eyes, as you can see, and I'm lightly dusting it in the apples of my cheeks. To set my face, I'm using the Makeup Forever Super Matte Loose Powder as earlier, along with the Real Techniques powder brush. If you're wondering what foundation I used, I will leave everything in the info box down below. For the lips, I'm starting off with the Maybelline Color Whisper in Pinup Peach. This is a gorgeous peachy shade. It's not too dark so it won't overpower the look. To finish everything up, I'm using the Benefit Ultra Plush Lip Gloss in Outrageous. This is a lighter shade of peach and it's just going to add a nice glossy finish. And here is the finished product. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I feel it's a very unique twist to the usual smoky eye with the bright pops of color. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to see more tutorials using this palette, leave me a comment down below. Please thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.